Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our first guest today is Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight. Doug found a passion in his own business at a young age and has done this passion ever since. In 2001, Doug began coaching and mentoring high-income earners to improve business results and find more satisfaction in life. While he has experienced the fruits of success, life has not been without bitter taste of occasional failures. Doug prefers to think those setbacks are as an MBA, which he learned a lot and chose not to retake those classes.
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks.
Right. At this stage in Doug's life, he has noticed an opportunity to make bigger, lasting differences in the lives of his clients. Doug created GPS to help navigate his clients safely through some life's greatest challenges. Get Priorities Straight, or GPS, was founded out of the passion for positively influencing people's lives through personal finance coaching. Their aim is to revolutionize how you raise money, replacing worry and scarcity with peace and abundance. It's a comprehensive, breakthrough personal finance system. You'll have money when you need it, and your funds will be supporting the priorities and values that drive you. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, before we jump into all the formalities and talking about GPS and your passions, tell us about your hobbies and interests. What do you like to do when you're not helping people keep more of what they make?
Well, one thing I've done throughout my life, I started teaching sailing when I was 16.
No.
And I've sailed boats around the Puget Sound for a long time, raised my family on a 36-foot Columbia. We didn't live there, but we sailed a lot in the summers.
Awesome.
And a lot of crabbing, a little karaoke. I came out of the karaoke closet about 15 years ago.
There's a closet?
Yeah,
Apparently.
yeah, totally.
That's pretty funny. Brian's a sailor?
Yeah, I've got some questions for you. I'm working on head sail trim, so we'll have to chat after the show.
All right.
That's
So
awesome.
we'd like to ask each guest to share a fun memory about the home you grew up in. Tell us about that.
So this is just coming out of reconnecting with an old high school buddy. And we were friends in grade school and junior high. And we got caught smoking cigars at 12 years old, 13 years old.
How'd that work for you?
In the basement.
Yeah.
And it's just wafting through the house. And just, it's kind of funny. This guy is now the manager of Pearl Jam.
Oh.
And he's just as stupid as I am. He got busted for smoking cigars in the house.
Oh, funny.
Did you guys not know that smoke goes up? Or
Brilliant young men.
It's I've always said that to my son is the IQ when one or more of you gets together actually diminishes. It's not it's not an exponential. It's the opposite effect.
But we could sneak out the window. So it was ground level. That was useful.
Oh, very good. So tell us more about GPS. Why are you what brought you and I told a little in the intro, but give us your why there.
Well, I've been self-employed for 37 years, and I've had lots of ups and downs. And I think all of us, if we live long enough, we can say we've had several ups and downs. And so I have learned by trial and error, how do you stay afloat? And I've had some really good years, and I've had some tough years. And I just decided that there was a really underserved area in helping people master their finances without selling them a financial plan, without investing their finances and making a profit, without selling them product, with the sole purpose of helping them master their finances. So in 1995, I created a program which failed. It was just too much work. It was spreadsheet based. And now with technology, I use another program called YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. And then I implement it for people instead of teaching them how. I actually implement it and hold them accountable and get the system working.
Interesting. So why don't people do it themselves? I mean, you did.
When you think about budgeting, which really, that's a bad word. It's kind of like diet.
Yeah,
Right, totally like diet. But really, it's just telling you what you want your money to do for you.
Right.
And when people do that, they sit down and do it once. They get a snapshot for today, and then tomorrow it's obsolete. So I have a real-time system that is always 100% up to date. You know exactly where you stand. And who wants to go back and start over and get it up to date again?
Right.
So it's building it into a system that's easy to manage, takes little time, and in less than a half an hour a week, you can manage all your finances. You can budget them. You can balance all your accounts. How many people do that here? I won't ask for a show of hands. And know exactly where your money's going every month.
Yeah.
Half an hour a week.
I know for me, it's systems. Couching this a little bit is that I've always believed that I'm a little bit of a free spirit. That's kind of the way I feel myself. Like I'm kind of like, hey, why don't we go do this tonight? Or hey, why don't we go here? Or oh, it's last minute. I know it's last minute, but hey, son, do you want to go to Montana for a week? Yeah. Like that's something I pride myself in being that way. And what I found is from an aspect of making money that doesn't suit you very well. And so I have created systems for myself that put me in a position of, okay, if I need to sell a certain amount of homes or talk to a certain amount of people, I need a system that locks me into doing that, that can hold me accountable without me having to think about it. Because if I have to think about what I have to do every day, I get overwhelmed and walk away. So as I see, some of the things that you've discussed is, it sounds like you're taking that anxiety away of, oh my gosh, we got to do a budget or we got to do a diet, and saying, let's figure it out logically. But is it just budgeting?
No. You need to know where your money goes in order to have any left, right? A lot of people look at their money and spend money each month and really are surprised that it costs that much. So knowing and deciding where your money goes before you spend it, if it's part of it, but also getting clear on what's important to you. Mm-hmm. There are people out there that are saying, just don't buy lattes. They're too expensive. You need to spend money on everything that gives you joy and you want in life, but quit wasting money on things you just don't care about. And if you don't know where it goes, how many people have subscriptions for something on their credit card they don't use?
Yeah.
So just about everybody.
Yeah,
are you asking us directly? Because I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah. Hey, Diane, are you listening? So what kind of outcomes do you get?
I have had people increase their credit scores by 125 points within 3 months of getting started. Have had them reduce their interest rates from 16.8% to 3.5%. Had them go from one fellow only making $50,000 a year, went from $4,000 in debt to $5,000 in the bank in 9 months. It's amazing the difference when you know where it's going. The other big thing is I've had marriages change.
I was going to ask you about couples. Yeah. How does that work?
It's often emotionally loaded to say you're spending too much compared to what? Now, you talked about wanting to do things spontaneously.
Right.
If you've decided that we're going to travel and we're going to have money for Christmas and we're going to have entertainment money and we're going to have money for wine and wine clubs and money for home improvement, and you decide you want to do something else, you just say, which bucket do you want to take it out of instead of you're spending too much. Now you're only spending money you have, and it's much less emotionally loaded to say, which bucket does that come out of?
So, yeah.
I'm just curious. A story about people managing their money poorly. What's a disaster you've handled?
Oh, it doesn't matter what income level people are at.
Right.
Geez, I wonder if any of my clients are listening.
I hope so.
Don't mention any names. Change the names to protect the innocent.
I'm going to switch
Or
this
guilty.
to a story that is about my in-laws.
Yeah.
And they're no longer with us, so this one's safe. But my father-in-law would always complain about my mother-in-law just spending money on shoes. And 10 years into their marriage, he said, how can you buy any more shoes? You got plenty of shoes. I've had these shoes since we got married. She literally took the shoes and bronzed them.
Oh.
She said, you'll never need any more shoes.
Oh, funny.
Funny. Oh, my gosh. So
I have a shoe.
you do?
really
You have
do.
one of them?
Yeah.
That's
If
funny.
you look at my website, you can see it on a podcast.
Oh, that's great. So what's the biggest difference between how people use their money before working with you and how they use their money after working with you?
It's really just awareness. People make very different decisions when they know what they're doing. So instead of at the end of the month going, hey, gosh, I'm tired. It's been a long month. Let's go out for some sushi. We look at our checking account balance. We got $1,400, should be fine. And then the bills come and you realize you had an insurance payment due and a couple of other things due. If you look at the system that I'm doing, you'll realize you had $14 in your entertainment fund. You'll pick up a DiGiorno's pizza and you'll still have a good time, but you won't have the stress later.
Yeah.
So what do you do with people that have a lot of debt? How do you help them?
Well, the best thing to do is first analyze their situation.
Mm-hmm.
If people don't have income, I can't help them. But if they have income, I can make a difference. It just depends on people's choices.
Right.
And around debt, we can restructure things. I have taken 401ks, got loans against them, cars and trucks and got loans against them so that it went from unsecured to secured, increasing their credit score, allowing them to get a second mortgage, taking the second mortgage, allow them to refinance their house and get their payments down compared to their income so that they could afford to reduce their debt, but also reduce their debt at a rapid rate. I've taken one woman who had $32,000 in debt. We refinanced a car, got it to 4.2, and then we got 4 zero-interest credit cards and got it down to zero. Ended up being about 2% a year to pay off her debt.
Well, we were talking before in the green room, we were kind of talking about, all right, there's a lot of folks out there that want to buy a house, but and even when we were talking with Aram, right, and they're just not looking at their finances, right? And we were talking about how oftentimes they'll go and they'll talk to a lender and they'll say, your debt to income ratio is too high. Come back when it's better. Or your credit score is too low. Come back when it's better. Doug, how can you step in and help guide somebody into a situation where they can actually maybe for the first time recognize owning their own home?
Well, it's a phased approach. And as I mentioned a little earlier, looking at assets and what you can refinance, but it's also just being creative. Do we have family members that can help or want to help? If we're self-employed, are we trying to get tax deductions? When so many people don't understand that a tax deduction isn't always a lot of cash in your pocket. It's usually a bigger expense.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep the money.
Right.
Cash flow is king.
Yeah, cash is king.
Cash is king.
So it's really teaching people how this works because it's really just a game.
Right. So what I'm hearing you saying is learning how to control your money instead your money controlling you.
Or deciding, John Maxwell said, decide where you want your money to go, or you'll wonder where it went.
Yeah.
And if a home's really important to you and traveling and the new car, you're not going to get the home as fast.
Right.
If you focus on
Priorities.
one thing and really want to get into a home, you can really accelerate the process.
Interesting.
It's like getting your priorities straight.
Right.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
What's that? That's crazy.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I know for my wife and I, Diane does a wonderful job. She handles all of our finances, and giving is important to us. And we found by getting a handle on our finances, we've been able to be more generous givers. So that's been good for us and good for the people around us that need help.
Yeah, and that's a huge driver for people.
Yeah.
They often really want to give more and support more. And when you've been blessed, it's really nice to be able to share that.
Be a blessing, yeah.
So what's one thing you tell people to do after hearing this message? What's your takeaway? What's your advice?
Well, whether you work with someone like me or not, I would really encourage people to master this part of their lives. Stephen Covey said, if you're going to change the world, clean your garage first. This is so foundational.
Mm-hmm.
You'll eliminate so much stress. If you can start living on 2 paychecks ago instead of the next 2 paychecks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most people just paying their credit card on time, the balance that's owed are usually paying off what they bought 30 to 60 days ago. So get on top of your finances and give yourself good reserves. And if you're self-employed, you need reserves in personal and business.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us on the show today. How do our listeners get a hold of you?
You can either visit my website at getprioritiesstraight.com, or you can reach me at doug@getprioritiesstraight.com.
Awesome. So do you have any special offers for those that are listening today?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
How about let's make something up?
Yeah, free phone consultation.
No.
Free phone consultation.
No. Well, of course, I meet with anybody confidentially for free.
There you
if
go.
they
There
have
it
any
is.
questions. But I also guarantee my work.
Oh,
3
awesome.
weeks into the process, if you're not happy, I'll refund the entire amount, or you can prorate it depending on what you'd want to do if it's not for you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
So after the break, we will have Angel Barna with Troth & Co., and we will be helping you to figure out whether you have enough personal assets to cover your expenses when in a health crisis. Come on back after the break.